What was a time in which a date was going well, but the other person ruined it? Not me, but a date I witnessed working at a restaurant. This young guy and a girl showed up, they're chatting, laughing, seemed to be having a good time. Then he got very clearly drunk and started blatantly hitting on me right in front of her. Every time I walked by the table he called me over, calling me Scarlett Johansson, and tried starting a conversation. I wasn't even their waitress. The poor girl was literally sinking down in her seat looking miserable. I stopped trying to be polite, ignored him and gave her looks, trying with all my might to psychically tell her to get out. Oh my, I have a story for this one. First date, got dinner and everything was going amazing, so we decided to go for a walk on the trails, and this boy, though it was a smart idea to climb a tree, guess what happened next? He's 10 feet in the air and he's climbing a dead tree after I told him it was a dumb idea. Next thing I know, the branch breaks and there's puke and blood everywhere. I ended up going to ER with him after calling 911 and even met his mom. He ended up with a concussion and 5 stitches in his head, but he's okay now. Him and I are great friends now. Not me, but a female friend of mine was just telling me about her most recent OkCupid date. Her description went something like this: everything was going really great. He is smart and funny, and easy to talk to. He seems like a great dad to his kids and gets along okay with his ex, always a good sign. Just a really down-to-earth guy, and it seemed like there was some nice chemistry. After dinner we decided to go have a drink at a fun little bar about a mile away. We got in his car to drive over there. He kissed me, which was nice. Then he took out his penis. After dinner, we went to a bar. Everything seemed to be going well. We had a good conversation and we made out. The bar was getting packed for some reason, so we decided to go back to my place. I told her I needed to go to the restroom first. She said she would wait for me outside. When I was finished, I went outside and saw her jumping into the back of a pickup with a bunch of people and leaving. She later texted me saying she bumped into her best friend and they were going to a party but they didn't want to go along. I never saw after that. Had a planned date ghost me. But another lady had just messaged me. I didn't really check her profile, just said I'm at X, come on over. Well, she did. Turns out she was a short, slightly overweight, redhead, named Christy that worked in sales. My ex-wife of 20 years was a short, slightly overweight, redhead, named Christy that worked in sales. They weren't twins, but they could have been sisters. We hung out a few times, but there is no way I'll ever be in the right headspace to have a serious relationship with her. I was on a first date with a guy I'd be set up on date with. He seemed nice, didn't eat badly or seemed overly weird. He ruined it when him and his ex-girlfriend, who were best friends now, would text back and forth to give each other updated on how the date was going. She was giving him pointers on what to do and say. I went to the washroom, got my waitress, told her I need to pay and run. She had no issues with that. Paid for my part of the meal and left. He never bothered contacting me after. Went on a date with a girl and we were hanging out at my place when she saw a spider. I went, hang on, please don't squish it. I'll just get a piece of paper and put it outside. From the kitchen I hear a thump and she stomped it, and then laughed when I got upset. Asked her to leave pretty soon after that and there was no second date. If she had instinctively squished it, then I would be more understanding. But she did it after I specifically asked her not to and was so spiteful about it. I took a girl to our city zoo. During the winter they have Christmas lights everywhere, they have a light show and even a Ferris wheel. Really cute winter date idea. While we were on the Ferris wheel looking down on all the cute lights and holding hands, I ask her if she's having a good time. She looks at me and nervously and tells me I've been talking to someone else. I told him about our date and he decided to beat me to it. Awkward wait until the ride was over. This isn't totally on point but still relevant in my opinion. I got sober and instantly stopped being able to have one night stands. Someone would be cute and we'd have chemistry, but then they'd keep talking and ruin it with their words. With a beer or two it was much easier to ignore the dumb shit they'd say. I'm an addict who didn't drink much, but I stopped drinking when I got sober from drugs in order to avoid the likely switch from drugs to alcohol. I was the one who ruined, but the date went really well. We went to a bar, talked a lot. She actually invited me to her place, that was not far away from the bar. As I walked through the door she asked what movie I would like to see, and I remembered that I had not seen The Prestige. However, the movie was so interested that Tipsy Me started rejecting her advances due to the fact that I would miss a good part. TLDR, I don't like Prestige. A long time ago, long before I met my wife, I was on a second date with this girl and things were going well. Great chemistry, great conversation, and it was clear that we were both into one another. She was alluding to us getting a little more intimate at the end of the date. Is also right about when she started telling me about the 5-6 other guys she was also dating sleeping with at the time. That was our last date, not me but a friend of mine. This was when we were around 22, 23 years old. She had a first date with a guy. They were meeting at a restaurant for dinner. She gets there and sees not only him but 2 other people at the table. Turns out he invited his parents to their date, so she, of course, excused herself to go to the bathroom and then just bounced. Talk about awkward. I have never laughed so hard as when she recounted her evening. Everything was going well until I mentioned that I almost never go to luxurious restaurants and bars because the way I was raised, glamour and luxury don't impress me much. For whatever reason, she must have thought that it was her job to change my mind. I wouldn't say it got ugly, but it was a sort of a small fight that killed the mood for good. To this day I can understand why it was too important for her to change my mind. Wasn't a date but funny story, and yes, I ruined it. I was in college. It was right when Fortnite had just gotten big. She was known as one of the better looking girls in the school. I asked her if she wanted to come back to my place. She did. We got back. I immediately put on my headset, started playing Fortnite. Not sure how much time passed, but I remember when I did look up, she had left. Lol. Our first date was amazing. I still reminisce about how incredible that night was and how incredible I thought my life was about to become. But the afternoon before what was supposed to be our second date, I got a voicemail. I know you went out with my fiancé last night. I'm not mad at you. I'm sure you didn't know I existed. But I do, and I'd appreciate it if you stopped seeing her. Vale. I'll start off by saying that I was on a date with a guy who was very handsome, smart, funny, and respectful. Our coffee date was going well, we were laughing at everything. Until his ex showed up. He saw her and started getting paranoid. Kept saying, "We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here." And was just freaking out. Of course we left, but never went out with him again. In high school I broke up with a girlfriend who I was seeing for a while. I was in a date with a new girl at a school play, and my friend was sitting behind us. During a very quiet moment in the play my friend thought he whispered to me, "You really girls with really big tits, huh?" But what he really did was scream so the entire audience heard, "You really like girls with big tits, huh?" It was a first date in a little restaurant. She was a bit late and had 2 shopping bags, even though we were going to the film after dinner, but okay, it was a Saturday afternoon, so, lots of shopping. The meal was nice, conversation was interesting, she looked cute. And then the police arrived and arrested her because she was shoplifting and security cameras had caught her. I generally try to be courteous to people, so I often open doors for people, both male and female. I opened a door for her and she absolutely laid into me for thinking she, as a woman, couldn't open her own door. I was a bit perplexed as I never saw it as anything other than being nice and certainly appreciate when others do it for me. Oh well, there was no second date. My little bro said he was on a date and it was going extremely well. Plans for a second date were made, hands were held, really went smoothly. At the end of the night he said it looked like she was waiting for a kiss, so he went for it and she freaked out. Said she wanted the kiss but it was sexual assault going for it without asking first and she ghosted him. I've had an issue where dudes show up and have bad breath lately. The date can be going well, but it's a huge turn off to meet someone for the first date and they can even be bothered to freshen up before the date. Like, I would have kissed you and maybe done more if it didn't smell like you'd been nibbling little pieces of shit before our first date. We were having dinner at my favorite restaurant. Guy started complaining about how spicy the food was after putting a great amount of hot sauce on his bowl, and how mom cooked way better. That was the start of the Mommy Chronicles. It only stopped when he took some time to say martial arts are scary and for men only. I do MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, he knew. This was during the pandemic. We were getting along well, enjoying a nice coffee and walking around the city. Then she told me about her being a nurse and the stupid rules the hospital put in place as well as the dangerous vaccine they make everyone take. I was like, "Valp, time to dip," thanked her for her time and kind of just went straight home. My friend asked me to go on a double date. It wasn't the person I was with who ruined it though. My friend and the other dude got into an argument. I forgot what it was but I remember it being so stupid. The guy took his friend and left. What made it worse was that I also had to pay for both the guys that left cause my friend only brought $10. Sticking her fingers and necklace in her nose and mouth. I don't recall which of the 4 combinations she hit on, but enough of them to make an impression. How much of an impression? When COVID hit a few years later, I instantly thought of her, and wondered whether I should contact her regarding her habits. but what to say. Made a weird sexual joke when we were buying food snacks. He said something like "I'll give you a snack later" and started laughing to himself quite loud, and other people heard the whole thing too. It made me super uncomfortable because I'm not into stuff like this, or moving fast in relationships, and I lost all interest in him. Went on a nice date with a girl. In the morning when I was driving her back, we were talking about how far she lived, and she mentioned that it didn't matter, she would drive even if she was drunk. I asked why she would do that, and she says she used to do it in Idaho all the time, so she expects to get a DUI at some point. Like what, me? I fucked it up. We realized we both knew someone I went to high school with, and I let it slip. I had a huge crush on her back then. That was 3 years after high school. I could tell the mood changed pretty much right away. I was kinda okay with it because I wasn't overly feeling it, but went along hoping it would change. Not me, but someone commenting on a post in one of my FB polyamory groups about awkward questions they've been asked on a first date. "You're open. You wanna watch this video of me having sex with a girl I met on vacation?" Before I could even respond, he had it pulled up and started playing it in a restaurant. We were on a date having a good time, at least I thought so, until one of her friends showed up and invited her to a band playing across the street. She said "that sounds awesome" and left. No apology, invitation, reschedule, nothing. I get if you weren't enjoying the date, but some common courtesy would have been nice.